All right, y'all. It's your boy, Professor X. And Mr. Ariel Helwani has another guest on his MMA podcast. None other than Triple Bitch, my favorite so-called superstar. Basically also known as the COO of Whack-Ass Wrestling Entertainment. And let's listen to what he had to say. And I got a retort for a big part of this conversation.
I hope you're doing well on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Ariel Helwani. The man joining me today certainly needs no introduction. He is the King of Kings. He is the game. He is the one and only Triple H, Paul Levesque, WWE executive. Great to have him here. We are just days away now from WrestleMania 36. 2 nights, April 4th, April 5th, Saturday night, Sunday night on WWE Network. He's kind enough to give us a few minutes of his time this morning. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So a lot to get to here. I'm fascinated by this story, obviously, because you guys are one of the only shows in town, or maybe across the world, I should say.
Yeah.
How close were you guys to not actually doing WrestleMania this year, or at least not during this time that you had previously scheduled?
Okay, I'm going to stop right there just for a second. How close were they to not doing WrestleMania? WrestleMania, as I've said often, should have been canceled. But people like him and his father-in-law, like I said, all they care about is their bank accounts. And I wonder if he's going to address anyone that's gotten sick. Let's just see.
It's really hard to answer that. I think, like everybody, we were.
No, jackass, it's not hard to answer that. It could have been very simple. Due to circumstances, present circumstances beyond our control right now, we're going to send everybody home to their families, and WrestleMania is canceled. We can't risk tapings around here and people getting sick. That's all you had to do. It wasn't hard to do.
We're sort of kind of going through the minute by minute of what was happening. It's amazing how quickly all of this happened. There was on Wednesday the 11th, we were actually doing an event out of the Performance Center in Orlando.
It's amazing how quickly all this happened. It's also amazing how quickly Rey Mysterio and Dana Brooke got sick. It was also amazing that Mike Mizanin's dumbass showed up to the Performance Center sick. It's amazing how undisclosed names of wrestlers who had a temperature of 100.4 got sick. So yeah, Triple Bitch, it's amazing. Don't you think maybe God's telling you something?
No, that actually had fans at it and everything, and I had mentioned to Vince the day before, maybe we should leave some of this stuff up just in case. It just seems like things are going in a weird direction very quickly, and within a 24-hour period after that, everything was shutting down. It's like everybody playing it by ear. Lucky for us, the content that we put out, we are very fan forward, and fan participation is a big, huge aspect of what we do. But we can also do this in a way from an entertainment standpoint, from a Hollywood standpoint, so to speak, and a fictional standpoint, that we can kind of control the environment and do this in a way that really nobody else can. And that's what we've been able to do with WrestleMania. We've been able to continue the product, continue to put the event on, do it in the safest way possible with a minimal staff, no fans. But we feel like it's necessary. I think it was obviously considered, but we feel like it's an obligation for us. Our fans have been there for us for years and years and years, and we want to be there for them. And in this time where everybody is just, doing their best to get through this and, kind of stuck home, and the world needs entertainment right now. And we feel sort of an obligation to give them that, whether it's exactly what we would like it to be or what they would like it to be. It probably won't be, but it'll be a version of that. We will make it the spectacle that it needs to be and that we can to the best of our ability. But we'll give people something to be entertained by. And this is one of those moments in time for me, and I'm sorry to give you the long-winded answer, but, for me, this comes down to sometimes people get very caught up in what we do and the arguments of what's happening and why and should have done this and should have done that. But at the end of the day, if you don't take it too seriously and you enjoy WWE for what it is, an entertainment source that hopefully we can do what our intent is and put a smile on your face. If you can forget all that, put it aside and just sit in front of your set or your mobile device or whatever it is and just be entertained by what we do, then we've succeeded.
Okay, here's the thing. The only thing you've succeeded at is you put your coworkers and your staff in the line of fire in a hot zone. The only thing you succeeded as the only thing you've succeeded at as 5 to maybe 6 of your wrestlers have gotten sick, and that's not putting a smile on people's faces. No, putting a smile on people's faces is if you and your company would have followed the governmental guidelines of shutting down all operations and sending all the wrestlers, sending everyone home. Rey Mysterio and Dana Brooke wouldn't have to be quarantined. The Jizz wouldn't have showed up sick to the tapings, because if he got sick, he could have already been at home. The wrestlers who had a fever of 104 might not have had a fever of 100.4. Triple bitch, I think that's the points that you're missing. But at the end of the day, we need entertainment to get through this. No, we don't. We've become very inventive at home. We all have computers. We can entertain ourselves. Trust me. And listening to the horse shit coming out your mouth and the bullshit content, that's enough to analyze and to entertain ourselves for days to come. And of course, once again, that's the job of the IWC.
What a godsend the Performance Center has been for you guys. Is it possible that if you didn't have the Performance Center, you'd be in a much different situation? You possibly could not put this on?
Yeah, I think we'd be absolutely in a difficult situation right now, as is everybody. But the Performance Center ended up being sort of worth its weight in gold, so to speak, of the ability to, and it was sort of the intent in it from the beginning, is to be able to not only train there, but be able to create content there on a 24/7 basis, the connectivity of what is there. We've used the Performance Center for events in the past. We used it last year. We did a Super Bowl halftime show when a lot of people were complaining about the halftime show being a particular band that people weren't enamored with. We put on a Super Bowl halftime show that people really enjoyed, and we did it out of the Performance Center. We've done other shows there. We've shot NXT there. So it's been used for that purpose. But in this situation, it really turned out to be the saving grace, so to speak, of us being able to continue to entertain our fans.
What would you say to the critics who say this shouldn't go on? Like, the government is telling us you should not be anywhere near anyone else. You should be at home. You shouldn't be doing anything. People are at home from work. And obviously in pro wrestling, you have to be in close contact with other people, especially in the matches. What would you say to the critics who say you guys shouldn't be doing this event?
I mean, look, there's going to be critics of everything. I think we're doing this, one, to provide what we believe is an essential service in entertaining our fans, entertaining people around the world. And I think you see that with ESPN picking up past WrestleManias and Fox and NBC and that partnership. We can put out content that even our historic content is evergreen in nature because of the storytelling aspect of what we do. And I say this a lot. We're more akin to the Rocky movie than we are actual boxing. Once the event takes place live in boxing, you're kind of done with it.
Okay. Health workers and responders are essential. What I do for the bank, that's essential. Real life workers who basically work in industries that help people to provide services and materials that people need as essential. Fake scripted fighting, or sports entertainment as you call it, is not essential. Eventually there's going to be nobody left alive to watch your sports entertainment as the numbers keep rising. Who's going to watch your shit when we're all dead? What you going to do then? What are you going to do if any of the wrestlers who've gotten sick, what if their conditions worsen, even though after all the tapings you guys take a break, and it might be too late then? Like I said, you and your father-in-law better pray every wrestler who's been sick recovers. The only smart one to come out of this was Roman Reigns. He pulled out. He's going to stay healthy, I hope.
With us, the Rocky movie, you'll watch it over and over again because it's the story and the characters and the emotion that you feel. And you'll go back and relive those epic moments of Andre and Hogan slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 or whatever, connects with you from the past. You can go back and watch those and relive them. So that part of it is massive, but we're taking all the precautions necessary. We're working with the government officials very closely locally.
Oh, bullshit. What precautions have you take? That performance center is not a saving grace. It's a disgrace. And worth its weight in gold? No. It's worth its weight in shit. I mean, even those, like I said, the big guy Ryback even stated, those mats are full of bacteria. I mean, triple bitch. I don't know if you know this, and you probably don't. Cleanliness is next to godliness. But of course, you, your father-in-law, and your whole extended family are not godly, of course. But being that as it may,
taking all the precautions, we're screening our talent. We're making sure that there are no risks. Anybody that's uncomfortable doing this doesn't have to.
Oh, bullshit. Anybody who's uncomfortable that doesn't want to do this doesn't have to. Yeah, right. They refuse to do it. They lose their push. But of course, Roman Reigns is an exception. I hope he's the exception. You're screening your talent. Paul Pussy Shit Levesque. Who the fuck screened The Miz? And how did he slip through the cracks, if you know what I mean? Come on. What kind of bullshit is this?
The crew and the staff is very, very limited. We're working the talent in waves where we bring them in for their particular stuff and then they can leave, and keeping people as separated as possible. So trying to do this in as safe a way as possible, yet still being able to perform a vital service. And obviously we're doing the best we can, as is everybody, but we're trying to make this as safe as possible, not only working with government officials, following CDC recommendations, and our medical staff of Dr. Maroon, Dr. Dugas, and their medical advice on how we deal with all of this as well.
I don't want to put you in an awkward spot. I respect the business. I respect what you guys do, but it's an awkward situation, especially in this day and age where you get shoot interviews and things like that, where you have a story that comes out that Roman Reigns isn't going to be a part of WrestleMania. He's now talking on social media out of character about why he's not being a part of WrestleMania, but you guys still have to continue with your storylines. How difficult does that put you, like what kind of a position does that put you guys in when this stuff is out there, yet you're trying to continue with your story arc and people already know that he's not a part of the show for his own personal and health reasons?
Well, it's a funny thing. I think you can watch our business in multiple different ways, and one of them is the storyline aspect of it, and to follow the storyline. Another way is the online component of it and the reality of it behind it. Roman has his situation and his reasons for doing the things that he's doing. But I will say, from our standpoint and the storyline standpoint, it's going to play out in a unique manner, and we want it to play out that way. And, it's not necessarily putting me in an awkward position. It's just for me saying I don't want to give away the ending of the movie before the movie takes place. So I think everybody just has to watch and kind of see how this unfolds. But it'll unfold in a unique way, and I think it will be meaningful, for everybody. And again, there'll always be critics, and we're doing the best we can. And this is all really in an effort to try to. It's our company mission to put smiles on people's faces, and that's what we're trying to do in this time when I think people really need to have those smiles. It might not be the perfect product, but it is the product, and it is what it is right now, and we're trying to put those smiles on your face. So it's done with the best of intent.
I want to give you a lot of credit because I think now people are sort of settling into a groove. But a few weeks ago, when this was all very fresh, as you said, that week of March 11th, it was a very scary thing. We didn't know what this all meant. I will admit myself, I was nervous. I'm a father of 3. We don't know, how dangerous it is to even go for a walk. And that Friday night SmackDown, which I believe was the first one that you guys had to do under these circumstances, you were the star of the show. You stepped up and you were holding the camera and you were doing the commentary, and all the reviews, and I tuned in as well, all the reviews afterwards were that you literally stole the show and that they want you to be a part of the show in that capacity. Of course, you have a lot going on. You can't always do that. But I'm just curious what that experience was like for you and what your mindset was, because it really did seem like you kind of stood up and said, all right, everyone's feeling down. I'm going to give people some comic relief and some entertainment for a couple hours here in the midst of all this.
So, it's one of the beautiful things I think about what we do is fan interaction. We were one of the first, I believe, entertainment events where we actually encourage that, right? Encourage people to bring signs and boo and cheer and yell, and not asking them to be quiet during the performance or allow the athletes to, to do what they do. So having that interaction and having that unique ability, not having a crowd there, knowing that we needed to reset and set the template for what we were going to try to do that night. So that's how I opened the show. Jumping on commentary for the first thing to try to explain that away, but knowing I'm not very good at commentary, so I was just doing the best I could and trying to be entertaining and sort of also understanding that, like you said, everybody is in the same boat. They're nervous, they're concerned, they're not sure what's going on. You don't want to hit them with stuff that's too heavy or serious. You just want to be fun and entertaining. By the time we got done that first segment, I'm out there, my phone's in front of me, and my phone is blowing up, and I'm trying to produce a show with limited staff and talent that are, trying to do their best and being asked to go out there and perform in front of nobody. And that's a very unique situation and tough to do. So by the time we got done that segment, though, the blow up on my phone was, oh my God, you got to keep doing this. It's very entertaining. And I left commentary and went to go do something else, and everybody came to me and was like, you got to go back out there. You got to go back out there. And I'm like, I got to produce this show. And they're like, I know, but you got to go back out there. It's just going to be dry. It's going to be tough for Michael. He's by himself. And, to get through this, we're not sure how this is going to go. So I just immediately went back out there. And, I'll give all the props in the world to Michael Cole, who takes a lot of flack for his job, as does every probably color commentator and analyst in the sporting world. He's unbelievably good at his job and was able to not only do his job and control the show from his standpoint, but also just roll with me and my childish banter and trying to make it entertaining and letting himself be the butt of the jokes. We had a blast. It was really fun. And I often feel like if you're out there in what we do, if you're having fun, chances are that comes through on camera and everybody else is having fun as well. And
okay, here's the thing. You can't compare Michael Cole to actual sports announcers and analysts and commentators. And he was the butt of jokes from day one. So for him to be there, I guess you could say 20 years and still be the butt of jokes, that's really pathetic. Yeah, he's getting paid, but I guess he doesn't have a conscience and he doesn't have any self-respect. And, the reason why Michael Cole gets flack for his job is because he stinks. See, Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone, Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura, Bobby Heenan, who was a great heel commentator, they were commentators. and they knew how to bounce off each other, be funny, be serious, and they sounded realistic. And they also were allowed to call the moves in the match, not just tell stories. Even JR was awesome. JR and Jerry Lawler. Those were your best commentators. I guess basically they were the golden age of commentary, because Michael Cole, Brian Saxton, and even the guy we don't see now with the funny ass haircut, the one dating Carmella, Corey Graves. They are just in the toilet. I mean, but there you have it.
And right now, I think having fun is something that everybody needs.
I think several years ago, maybe a decade or so ago, there was a big question as to what would happen to WWE, once Vince was no longer in charge, right? And all of a sudden, over the last, decade, just to say that you and your wife, Stephanie, have really, taken control and have done a phenomenal job with NXT and really prepared for the future and evolved the business with the Performance Center and things of that nature. Could I just ask, what would your life be like if you didn't meet Stephanie? What do you think you would be doing, in your mid-40s right now? Do you think you would still be wrestling? Do you think you'd be totally out of the business? Have you ever considered what life would be like for you? I would imagine completely different than what you're doing right now.
Yeah, although, it's a funny thing, because long before I ever met Steph, I had a very strong fascination with the behind the scenes of the business. And it's how I started working with Vince behind the scenes. Being involved in some creative years ago in the smack dab in the beginning of the Attitude Era. I had never even met Steph at that point. He and I were working creatively when a bunch of writers left us, and Vince was kind of doing everything solo. He kind of tagged me in to help him in a manner and riff ideas off of and bounce things off of. And then I started sitting in on production meetings, and it became more and more my involvement. And even for stuff that had zero to do with me, which I tended to prefer, I didn't like to weigh in on the stuff that had to do with me nearly as much, because I felt like it was wrong to do. And your vision can get warped in that, but like to weigh in on other people's things, to weigh in on other shows. I was always as fascinated with that side of the business. Even when I was initially training with Kowalski, how he set the shows up and why was always very fascinating to me. So I like to think that in some manner I'd be doing the exact same thing from a behind the scenes standpoint.
Oh, bullshit. Let me tell you something. Even during the Attitude Era, Stephanie McMahon started popping up on television already. This motherfucker was already dating and living with China. You know what, triple bitch? And I'm going to say this to you and straight out. Your life would not be what it is. You would not be where you are unless you started screwing that corporate stank cunt of a bitch. And what you two did behind China's back, I hope that comes back to haunt you. And this pandemic right now may be God's perfect opportunity to pay you back, because he's paying back a whole lot of people right now. Because this thing is biblical. We're living in the last days. This is literally the book of Revelations. And the revelation is everything triple bitch you're saying out of your mouth is a total fucking lie. You would not be where you are unless you married Vince's darling little princess. I wouldn't call her princess. I just call her for what she really is. The backstage corporate whore. She comes across very wholesome and friendly, like, yeah, you fucked her, had 3 kids, 3 little brats. And I'm just wondering if you're really committed to each other like you portray, because often at times, since you're now the COO, you guys travel a lot and you travel apart. And I'm thinking when you were alone in those hotel rooms all those times, years past, before this, I'm thinking maybe 50% of the time, or maybe even 90% of the time, you weren't alone in those hotel rooms. Trust me. So to say that you always had a fascination with behind the scenes business, and you think you'd be doing the same thing, maybe so, but you wouldn't be COO. You'd probably have the same job that Arn Anderson had, or the same job that a lot of several former TNA wrestlers have. You just be a backstage producer or an agent. But let's keep going.
My relationship with Steph, I think, it's the best thing that ever happened to me from a standpoint of it's my wife and my kids and everything else. So every aspect of my life would be different. But from a business standpoint, I like to think I'd be doing the same thing because of the relationship that I had with Vince and the creative relationship that we had long before any of that.
Bullshit again. You met Stephanie basically long before that. The storyline that you had, the power couple, she turned on Vince. And like I said, you were still living with China when all this went down. Your wife and your kids. Yeah, right. Come on, man. Who the fuck do you think you're fooling? We know how you really hooked up with Steph. And we know what you did to get to where you are. Now you can sit there smug and all smiles and all funny and like I said, your beloved fans, your so-called WWE universe, they're gonna believe every word you say because they're that naive and they're that ignorant. But behind that smiling face, as the song goes, smiling faces always tell lies. And we know the lies behind the face of Triple Bitch. There's a reason why he has a big nose, if you know what I mean.
And I hope you're not thinking I'm trying to suggest that the only reason why you are in the position you're in is because you're married to Stephanie, right?
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. No, that's not what I.
Oh, you never heard that one before. That's the sole reason why you're in the position you are. Like I said, because of a corporate stank cunt of a bitch. That's the only reason why you're in that position. Oh, please. Ariel, if you watch this, you're actually onto something. Like you never heard that before. It's a Triple Bitch. It's the damn truth. Come on now. Any Johnny come lately who would have fell for Stephanie or started bumping uglies, could have been in the same position. Could have been COO. See, it's not what you know, folks. It's who you know. Or in this case, it's not what you know or how hard you work. It's who you're screwing.
Was trying to get at, but obviously you guys are doing a phenomenal job in terms of preparing for the future. Could I just ask, just out of curiosity, I was always curious about this. What was it like when you actually asked, or did you ask Vince if you could marry his daughter? What was that experience like?
It was a unique experience. If you've ever met Vince, any kind of situation like that is a unique experience. I
don't understand why it's a unique experience. You were already doing the nasty. I wonder if you knew about that, and you were doing it while you were still living and dating someone else. And actually, I believe China even said it that it was Stephanie McMahon herself that initiated the contact because she came after him. She sent the love letters that China found in his gym bag. So it couldn't have been too unique of an experience.
Point, I should write a book just about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
As we begin to have a relationship and that begins to grow, there's every awkward moment that you can imagine that everybody has in all their relationships. That first dinner at your
Boy, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Awkward moment. Question for you, Triple Bitch. How awkward a moment was it when China found those love letters in your gym bag, and you just sat there and looked in her face and flat out denied it, just lied to her face? How awkward was that moment?
Your girlfriends when you're going over the parents' house now, except for it's the guy that I've been working with for all these years, and he is making it as uncomfortable as humanly possible for me, just because he thinks it's funny. And I mean, there's just so many humorous moments within all of that. But it's wonderful, one of the things I think that is great for us, Steph and I, we often say, like, from a team standpoint, there's nothing we can't accomplish. And I think that's how we look at it, whether it's the business or anything else. The two of us work together on it. And I think it's a great 1-2 punch in business. There are unbelievable strengths that she has and things that she is so much better at than I am. And then there are things that, that I bring to the table that aren't necessarily her forte. But I think together in the business, because it's hard when you look at Vince, when you create something from the ground up, every single aspect of it intimately because you created all. When you move further down the line into other things, there's a much bigger business and just all these components of it that are incredible and massive and complex and all those things. It's tough for any one person to understand or know all of it, and you have to rely on those around you and know what their strengths are and know how to utilize those strengths.
Okay, so it's 2 nights. It's Saturday and Sunday, first time ever.
Now, what he fails to mention is, okay, yeah, Vince built this from the ground up, and now it's going to burn. And now it's going to burn down because I'm pretty sure he knows about the $1 billion he lost on the stock market. All the fans who unsubscribed to the network, all the low house show attendance before the pandemic, and all the low TV ratings. So, hey, Triple Bitch, another question. You talk about a 1-2 punch. What was that $1 billion? What was that $1 billion you lost on the stock market? That must have been a quite an uppercut.
For 2 nights, WrestleMania 36. I don't want you to give anything away.
It was just too big for just one night, Eric.
Yes, and that's great. Yeah, Lord knows we have nothing else to do on Saturday night, so give us
exactly.
2 nights. Could you give us anything, just even a little morsel, something, a surprise appearance, something that we don't expect? Could you tell us something that, just a little scoop here? We're not being too greedy. We like breaking news, exclusives. What do you got for us? So,
Gronkowski is hosting, which, people have said, well, what are your plans for Gronk? To me, I said, we don't have plans for Gronk. Gronk has plans for us. I think we're all just living in Gronk's world sometimes when I'm around him. But I think he's going to do some really cool stuff that I think people will be shocked that he actually does. I think that the event itself will be spectacular, while obviously not in the stadium with 70,000, 80,000 people. It looks spectacular. The look and the feel will be phenomenal. I think that talent really stepped up to bring the energy and the excitement, knowing how important this was. And then there's a lot of things that will take place, both live and taped, but that will be taking place from alternative locations that I think it's funny. Sometimes I often think, and I've heard this said a lot, that out of chaos comes genius. And sometimes I think these moments.
You know what? This is the kind of chaos that no genius comes out of. See, the only thing that should have came out of this chaos was common sense. Hashtag cancel WrestleMania. Everyone should have been sent home. See, out of this chaos, wrestlers have gotten sick. Not too genius a move there, Mr. Triple Bitch. That's not genius. No. Out of this chaos came yours and your father-in-law's stupidity. And between you, your father, your wife, your whole family, we're talking stupidity to the 10th power.
Moments in time are things that allow you to think outside the box and do things that you wouldn't necessarily have the ability to do. If WrestleMania was just WrestleMania in a stadium and all that, we would be approaching it like we always do. We're approaching this differently. From day one, when we thought we were going to do this, we thought, how can we make it different and unique, and how can we capitalize on the situation that we're in? And I think we've done that. I think there will be some things on there that will maybe change it. I don't want to over blow it out of proportion, but I think there's some things that might change the way we do business going forward, even after this.
Wow. Okay. That's good enough for me. And by the way, Daniel Cormier wants to say you're welcome, because we were talking a couple weeks ago how we thought that maybe having the empty seats in the background wasn't the best look. And then that Monday, you guys changed the camera angle, and now it's, the back, the ramp is in the background. So we think that you guys listen to us, and we are taking full credit for this change. Just want to let you know.
Well, as you should.
Okay. Thank you.
Daniel's, and you are a voice in the world that is loudly heard. We hear that. It's a funny thing, as this was all happening again, you're sort of kind of doing this as it goes, and we didn't know how long people weren't going to be able to come into the venue, and you're looking at these seats, and then, hey, maybe we should try this, doing it a different way. Okay, we can't tear all that down by doing this tomorrow, but let's get it done for this one. So it was a work in progress, but certainly you guys giving us the idea was the inspiration.
We could talk for hours. I had to cut out some questions about the Mean Street Posse and what they're up to these days. Unfortunately, we are out of time. You're very busy.
I think they're doing the same thing as the rest of us. They're sitting home alone watching you on the internet.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you guys this weekend. Again, WrestleMania 36, 2 nights, Saturday night, Sunday night on the WWE Network. And by the way, Sunday afternoon, ESPN will be airing WrestleMania 35 from last year at MetLife Stadium, with a lot of people in attendance leading up to the second part of WrestleMania Sunday night. Paul, thank you so much for the time, and good luck to you guys, and all the best to your family during this crazy time as well.
Thank you. You too. Stay safe. Everybody stay safe out there, and we look forward to hopefully putting a smile on your face.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.
Wow, folks, there you had it. He tells us stay safe. Stay safe. You know what? That's what you and Vince should have told all the wrestlers. That's, like I said, everyone should have been sent home. Operations should have been shut down right there. But once again, just like Mr. Helwani's last interview with the man, you got WWE just spewing out their marketing, media, hogwash. I mean, not even knowing, or not even considering that they might be committing a genocide to these wrestlers. I mean, once again, like I said, Paul, Vince, y'all gonna learn the hard way. Like I said, when Vince goes, there's no way you and Steph are gonna keep that company going. Like I said, this is the beginning of the end for WWE. This is the beginning. Like I said, it's gonna burn. I mean, it's gonna burn it like the so-called Monday Night Messiah's theme song. God is going to burn you down, and he's already starting. Like I said, I just believe this pandemic is phase 1 of judgment. And all of us, like I said, we're right in the line of fire, right in the hot zone. So, hey, keep on with making money in your shows. Keep on. It'll come down. Like I said, it'll all come crashing down on you. But, like I said, to all the wrestlers that are sick, Godspeed. Me and others, we're praying for you. Leave your thoughts and comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.